Hello, we're here to discuss Walk With Me. We're going to be doing the video series, and this is the first installment of it, going through chapter by chapter on this journey together, discussing a little bit more in depth, answering any questions you have. So if you have questions for me, you can feel free to message me with those, or you can include them in the comments below, and then I will address them in upcoming videos. So first chapter is love your neighbor as yourself. And I love to say of this that it sounds so great in the pew on Sunday, right? And then you get to Monday morning and you're in the pickup line, or you're at the convenience store getting your coffee, and love your neighbor as yourself seems a lot harder, right? And I think that's true of all of us. So as I was writing Walk With Me, some of the stories from my childhood and my college years and such came back to me that I hadn't remembered in a long time. And so the first chapter opens with a story from my childhood that I love, and I had forgotten it until I started writing and it came back to my memory. And that is the story of my mom taking us to visit our elderly neighbor who lived next door to us. So we lived in the country and we had essentially two neighbors. One were our grandparents, which were about a fourth of a mile away. And then in the other direction, a fourth of a mile, was my elderly neighbor who lived there with her son, her adult son. And so she rarely got out, maybe a few times of the year to go to the doctor or something like that. And again, being in a rural part, we lived down a mile-long lane, she just really didn't see many other people. And so about twice a year, my mom would have us go there and visit with her, and my mom would do most of the talking, and we would sit there and answer questions about school and things we like to do. And our main job was to behave ourselves and act polite. And so she would serve us cookies, and of course we were expected to eat the cookies. But we really didn't want to do that, my sisters and I. We really just wanted to be outside playing or doing whatever kids do. And my elderly neighbor lived differently than us. You know, she didn't get out very much. We were a busy household, always going. She also, was not able to upkeep her house at the level that we were accustomed to at our house. So her house was a little bit messier than ours. Sometimes it was stinky. It wasn't our favorite place to go. It wasn't something we really wanted to do. But my mom insisted that we would go with her, that it was not a question of whether we were going or not. That's what we did. And so as I was writing the book, I realized that it was things like that from my childhood that my mother had instilled in me and my sisters that allowed me to be able to have the courage to do something that was very much out of my comfort zone, which was going to a medium security prison to meet someone that I didn't know. And of course, Walk With Me is the story of my friendship with Aaron, who is a Black man who's incarcerated. And so I think when I look at love your neighbor as yourself, and I remember back to my elderly neighbor, I think about that, my mother was really teaching us to treat other people like we would desire to be treated. And when I look at how my mom treated her, I think that is what I would desire for someone to treat me when I'm in my elderly years, or the way that I would desire some neighbor to treat my grandmother. And so I think when I look at my own life, that some days that's a lot easier to do than others. And when I try to analyze, what is it that makes me veer from being able to love my neighbor as myself? And more often than not, I find that when I am consumed by my own drama of the moment, whatever it might be, that I find that the people around me suddenly become annoying to me. They become frustrating to me. And I'm so sucked into this moment that I'm living in that I can't look outside of that. But when I can say, oh yeah, that's the drama of the moment with this situation, with work, with my daughter, with, whatever the situation is, when I can just look at it and say, that's just that part of my life. Like the rest of this is all going okay. Or there's so many other things that I have to be grateful for that are good right now and are not challenging. When I can do that, then I can love other people, and when I'm not consumed by my own situation. So I think that's the challenge to us today, to try to simply name it and say, oh yeah, that's just Becky being focused on the drama of the moment. That's not all of Becky's life right now. That's not all that she has to offer. Then I can step outside of that and I can move to the next person. So go love your neighbor as yourself.